Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Fireside Chats. I'm Sarah Rasmussen. I'm the new Artistic Director here at McCarter Theater on the beautiful campus of Princeton University. I'm here at our fire pit in our front lawn to speak to the amazing Reverend Dr. Theresa S, who is the Associate Dean of Religious Life and Chapel at Princeton University. I promise I'll call you Theresa from here on out.
Thank you.
Had to put the whole title in at first. She is a passionate advocate for Black and LGBTQ plus communities and a proud dog mama. And some of you watching might recognize her from McCarter's presentation of The Moth on the Matthews stage last fall. Theresa, welcome to our Fireside Chat.
Thanks for having me, Sarah.
I'm so excited that you're here. I have to, before we dive deeper into questions, I want to hear more about The Moth. Tell me about your love of storytelling and your experience doing that here.
Yeah, I'm from Mississippi, where people sit around and tell stories. So all my life, I've heard stories. So I love The Moth. I love StoryCorps. I love all of these things where people are telling stories. And as a pastor, that's what I do. I also tell stories. And so one day I got a phone call to be a part of the McCarter Theater's Moth, and it was a fangirl moment. I was like, yes, and okay, what does this mean? It was so much fun.
I'm so excited to talk to you today for so many reasons, but one of them is I think a lot about the similarities between what you do, gathering people in a faith community, and what we do as an arts organization, gathering people for live music, for theater, for musicals, for performance. And we can't gather people right now.
Yeah.
So I want, or at least not in person, I'm so curious to know what your experience has been of creating community and ritual in an online medium right now.
Yeah, it's really difficult because, as you know, in the arts world, a lot of it is energy.
Yeah.
The energy that you get when you walk on a stage or you walk in a crowded room or even just being in a room with just a few people, and that energy exchange is sort of missing. But in gathering people online, you get to gather more people across limits that you never even thought of before. So people in different time zones or different countries. It allows for people to have an exchange that I couldn't imagine if this were to happen 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
Yes.
How isolated we all would be. And so thinking creative ways. I did a virtual paint party the other day with 30-something students, and we're all painting these literal masterpieces.
Yes.
But it's just this engagement through a different type of medium. It requires creativity, but also talking and being in conversation the same way we would if we were together.
Are there things that you feel like you'll take from the virtual world out of this time back into a world when we can gather? Do you think about that?
I think about, there's so many things we take for granted. I took for granted just being able to gather in communion even.
Yeah.
I haven't given communion since March. I haven't been in a worship space with other people, baptisms and holding babies and even holding hands and all of the ways that we were tangibly with people. But even in coming back, it won't look the same. So I think about what does it mean for us to have more time of just talking without a lot of the entertainment that happens when we get together with people, thinking about really listening to people, being present to people, and also shorter meeting times. We can get a lot done in a shorter amount of time. But yeah, just being in other people's presence, even now, being with you is like a gift.
It's exciting to
It
be in
is.
person with real live art. Yeah, it feels amazing to get to have conversations in person. You're right, that energy just it's not the same. We're doing the same thing. We're doing a lot of online classes, and we're starting to put out content online, and it's great in some ways for access. People can access our classes from anywhere. You know, we can share performances in new ways, but it doesn't have quite that same crackle that it does in person. I'm also just thinking, you know, in 2020, so much has happened in our country. You know, both obviously with the pandemic, but also really long overdue conversations about systemic racism, about racial justice. How are you thinking institutions, churches, performing arts institutions, how do you think we'll be different when we come back in terms of like what you're saying, the conversation or the connection that people are going to need?
Yeah. That's an interesting question, Sarah, and I'm also interested in what will happen. I think some places will go back to the same old, same old.
Yeah.
And other places, I think in the art community and faith communities, it's almost impossible for us to go back to the way it used to be.
Yeah.
In this moment, I've experienced so much vulnerability that in this Zooming world, we are literally in each other's homes in a different way.
Yes.
So seeing our coworkers and our students with their parents or their siblings or their animals, I mean, it just allows a little bit more vulnerability. And I don't think we can rewind on that. I don't think we can rewind on being in meetings where people say, that statement makes me feel uncomfortable. Or what about the people who aren't in the room? So this has given us language that we didn't have before. And it's hard to, once you know, it's impossible to go back. It's not impossible, but it's going to be really hard to not have that same level of vulnerability and honesty.
Something I'm thinking a lot about is artists in our culture right now, and it's a really vulnerable time to be an artist because there just is not, there's not the work right now, and there's a lot of insecurity around that. And I think for us, continuing to try to create opportunities for artists and lift up their contribution to our world. What do you think, when you think about arts and artists, can you talk a little bit about how you think they are essential and will be essential to our conversation, our healing, our dialogue, our joy moving forward?
In this moment, artists have saved us. I almost get chills when I think about the artists who showed up with dance lessons online and DJs and performances and readings and the ways that they have injected this society with joy, with creativity. When I think about our university chapel choir, these students are across the world and they're putting together their voices to create beautiful music. And it's a medium that I also think we took for granted, especially being here on the East Coast in this quarter of New York, Philadelphia, DC, all the ways that we were so easily able to tap into the arts coming here. Yeah. And now we realize that the way of imagination and creativity and seeing bodies in motion, I mean, those are things that we took for granted. And so I hope the arts rise and come back with the way that that gathers us. In community again. Yeah.
I think I'm just going to weep when I see like bodies getting to dance together.
Oh my goodness.
Even like I said, I was listening to your service online and just hearing choirs singing together gives me chills because I think, wow, it's been so long since I've been in a physical space hearing, live music.
Yeah.
So, but you're right, people are finding so many ways to create and collaborate. Yeah. You talk so beautifully about joy as a form of resistance and joy as a practice in your life. What's bringing you joy and connection through this long stretch?
It's gratitude. I think that if this moment were to happen at any other time in my life, it would have been really hard. I grew up very poor in Mississippi, so I think about what it would have been to be a young child in public housing in Mississippi during this time. If I was in college, I could not imagine what it would have been like to have this time in college. If I was a young adult in grad school, like how difficult and isolating this time would have been. And this time in my life, I turned 40 in November, so like this sweet spot of 40, like I don't have to chase after career in the same way. I'm like comfortable in my life and my body. And so joy for me is being able to wake up every morning with my overly excited dog and go for long walks in the morning and watch the nature wake up in the morning. Yeah. Music, having dance parties, having conversations with friends on the phone, old school.
Yes.
Not text messages, but conversations. Yeah. And reading and just being really present to life.
That's beautiful. Being new here, you just spoke about your dog and walks. Where's a favorite place to walk your dog? What's a favorite outdoor spot right now?
There's so many places. Sourland Mountain Preserves. Okay. It's just, you feel like you've gone away somewhere. You feel like you're in Colorado or out. It's just great walking space. Right here in town, walking around campus. This campus is beautiful. The change of the foliage. This is a really pretty place.
It does fall really well.
It
does fall really well. Well, I know we could talk all day. I hope those of you watching check out Theresa's work, which we'll drop the website. Check out the beautiful work that she's doing. And thank you so much for your time today.
This is really beautiful out here.
It is. We've got gratitude for fall and this fire and getting to have a conversation in person.
Yeah,
so thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. And I hope you have an amazing time.
Thanks.
This theater is a gift.
It is. Yeah. It is. It really is. Thank you.
Thank you.